Today I will talk about RTEMS, which is an operating system used for industry. It's very different from Linux. I am the CTO of SmileCS. SmileCS is one of the organizers of live embedded event. And additionally, I'm a teacher for some engineer school in France and a writer. I wrote some books about Linux. What is the agenda? The agenda is first a small history about RTEMS. RTEMS features, how to build the compiler and to build the RTEMS SDK, actually to build the operating system, how to develop and debug applications, device drivers, some words about the BSP, and at the end of the conference, I will do some demonstration with an emulator, QEMU, or with Raspberry Pi for real test on GPIO. So RTEMS, it means real-time executive for multiprocessor systems. Initially, it was designed for military, so it was first for the missiles at the US Navy. So the M was missile, and then the M was military systems. And now it's used in space applications, but some industrial applications. But most of time it's used for space applications by big agencies such as ESA in Europe or NASA in USA, and a company working in the space industry. It's very different from Linux. It's a kind of it's a RTOS with an execution of a kernel, and there is a single process linked to the kernel, and the process are several threads with several priorities. RTEMS includes several scheduling algorithms. We will talk about it later. You can program with RTEMS. You can program mostly in C, C++, but you can also program with ADA because it's for the defense. It was for the defense industry, OpenNP, Python, and Fortran. Today we will talk only about C and C++. There are two API for programming on RTEMS. The first one is a classic API. It's very specific to RTEMS with a wide access to the operating system internals. And the second one is a POSIX API. It's a partial port of the POSIX API. It's here to be compatible with the POSIX standard in case you want to port some code to RTEMS for an application. But if you want to do some specific things, you should use a classic API. For example, modifying the scheduling algorithm is only accessible with a classic API. The compilation uses a GCC cross compiler. You can compile on several hosts, most of time Linux, but sometimes it's Windows because people working on RTEMS, they are not computer specialists. Most of the time they are scientists working on a specific technology, and so they are not fluent with the computer science. You can compile on Mac OS X 10, and I think you can compile on Solaris too, but I don't remember. Of course, I will use Linux for the demonstration. The current release, official release, is 5.1, and there is a Git version, which is 6, with lots of modifications since the last version. It's based on the GPL v2 license with a linking exception. And there is a good implication in the Google Summer of Code since 2008. There are lots of work. I will talk about it at the end of the conference. There are several interesting work done by students at the Google Summer of Code. A timeline. It was started in the 90s by the US Army because they wanted to get an open source operating system for my missile command. And there was some years after, there was a first non-military ARTEMS application with SSC. The release 2 used the GNU tools. Release 3 it's possible to use ADA with release 3. And the US Army published ARTEM brochure to give the interest of using ARTEMS for military applications in 1993. In 1997, ARTEMS was ported to SPARC, to the SPARC architecture with ERC32. And the POSIX threads and the POSIX API was added in the release 4. And the company, there is a company behind ARTEMS, which is called OAR. It's in USA, in Texas, I think. And they are today they are the principal distributor and principal developer for ARTEMS. And since OAR becomes the primary distributor of ARTEMS, it was not a military OS anymore, so it was possible to use it for everything you want. And there was a wiki launched at the beginning of 2004. The SPARC Leon BSP was submitted by Geissler, and you know the SPARC Leon is a very important architecture for the space applications. And recently, the NASA Curiosity rovers, they use ARTEMS for the communication. And the last project using ARTEMS, famous project using ARTEMS, is the Parker Solar Probe. There are lots of projects based on ARTEMS. So there is an extract of some application. Embedded Brains is a company in Germany working on ARTEMS, giving training and the development in the ARTEM world. So most of time you see its application in space, in the space world, except there is some automotive application, but most of time is around space. Some words about the license. The license is a GPL v2 with a linking exception. The linking exception is useful to avoid contamination of the application by the license. So the application is not covered by the GPL, which could be fine because ARTEMS works in some specific technology, so it could be difficult to publish the source code. But there is a drawback, as pure GPL software can be used in ARTEMS code, so it's a problem for contribution, because in operating systems such as Linux or components of the Linux world, you can get code from another GPL project and contribute it and port it to Linux. It's not possible. It's possible to do that with ARTEMS, but it's not legal. You can publish the code. But ARTEMS community is quite small if you compare with Linux or in the Linux world in general, because the ARTEMS market is a kind of niche, and there are companies working in space agencies. They work on ARTEMS, but they use most of the time they use old versions, because they get the version and then modified it for certifications. For example, at TAS, which is Thales, making satellites, they use 4.6 version, and Edisoft, which is a company in Portugal, they sell an ARTEMS version, certified ARTEMS version, which is based on 4.8. And this version can be integrated in the hypervisor called Stratum. So here is the general architecture of ARTEMS is quite classical, because you have the hardware, some BSP on the right, BSP depending on the CPUs and on the boards. So some device drivers and libraries defined depending on the chip, on the CPU. Some at the next level, there is a support library which is in CPU kit and which is independent from the hardware. And SuperCore, it's the main API for RTEMS programming, but you can't actually. It's quite difficult to program an application with SuperCore. So when you program an application, you use the classic API or the POSIX API, which is at the upper level in the RTEMS. And you have the application on top of the system. And again, the application is linked with the RTEMS kernel. So each time you build the RTEMS, actually, you build an application. RTEMS, it's a set of managers. You can see it as a, in French, you say camembert because it's a very famous cheese in France. There are lots of managers, and managers, it's a set of components that provide service to the application, and you can load managers or not in the application. When you compile the application, you say, I will get access to all the managers, or I will not use this manager, for example. For example, there are managers for quite everything, including scheduling, dispatching, etc. I can show the camembert. It's much better. So you have the clock, the timer, the interrupts, etc., etc. And for example, if you want to develop device drivers for RTEMS, we will see an example at the end of the conference. You should use the IO manager. But you can see famous components in real-time world, such as semaphore or message or clock, etc. There is a quite recent SMP support in RTEMS, because SMP is a new approach for the RT application. For a long time ago, there was no SMP chip in space or industrial applications. And so when you use SMP, it's a new approach for the RT application, because you can use the task affinity. You can select where to execute this thread or this task. You can control the migration of the task on the different CPU. So it's much better for performances, but it's a bit difficult to manage. You can do the same with Linux in, for example, with Preempt30 or Xenomai, and so you have to think about your architecture much than it was before with one CPU system. It's mainline from RTEMS 5, but it's limited to some architectures such as ARMv7, PowerPC, RISC-V, and Spark. And to get the SMP support, you need to enable SMP with a configure flag, or in the new version of RTEMS, we don't use configure anymore, so it's based on a system which is WAF. So you have to define RTEMS SMP variable to true. And you have lots of examples in RTEMS in the source code and in the directory which is called test suites, and there are some SMP tests in test suite. The RTEMS, of course, the RTEMS scheduling. Scheduling is a very important feature for OS such as RTEMS. There is a plugin framework to support multiple scheduling algorithms. Basically, there is the DPS and the RMS. The DPS is a basic deterministic priority scheduler, and the rate monotonic scheduler, RMS, is very famous in the RTOS world, as it's a scheduler where the task with the lowest period has the highest priority. And so you can have EDF, CBS, or POSIX priority, such as SCAD FIFO or SCAD RR, and you can implement your own scheduling and configure RTEMS to use it. But you need to use the classic API. It's not possible with POSIX. In POSIX, you can only use the POSIX priority scheduling. You can see the video or not? Oh, okay. An example of RMS scheduling. It's a fixed priority scheduling algorithm. So the shortest period task has the highest priority. We have, as an example, we have 3 tasks with 3 different periods. The deadline for T1 is 3. You know, the deadline for T2 is 4, and the deadline for T3 is 6. So when you run all the tasks at the same time, you can see the preemptions. For example, the preemption, the T1 preempts the T3 because it's the smallest period. Then the T3 is preempted by the T2 and then by the T1, etc. So it's a very simple algorithm and very efficient for periodic systems. And in a real-time system, you have lots of periodic tasks. Most of the time, it's periodic tasks. Regarding the networking, networking support could be available in RTEMS. It was based on FreeBSD port and it was included in the RTEMS sources. But no, right now, since the RTEMS 5, I think it's an external library which is called RTEMS libbsd, available from the Git, RTEMS Git, and you have a very precise documentation. So how to integrate the BSD network in the RTEMS application. But it's not like in Linux. You just not have to do ifconfig and that's all. It's you have to configure static files, and it's a bit tricky to do. So it's designed to be updated regarding the FreeBSD kernel evolution. That's the reason why now it's an external library. You can do a test with QEMU with TAP virtual interface, but it's a bit difficult to use. But lots of space applications that don't use networking at all, so it could be. It's not like in Linux. In Linux, you always use network. It's not the case in RTEMS, but it's possible. Some words about the POSIX API. There are some statistics in RTEMS, and there is only a small set of users using the POSIX API. Maybe it's Linux users because all those people working on Linux or Unix world, they use POSIX. And there are some functions not implemented in the RTEMS implementation of POSIX. For example, if you want to set the priority of the main application, is not possible in RTEMS. And as I said, there is no access to advanced web features, such as the scheduler manager. And so actually the POSIX API was designed to be compatible with some existing application of in the POSIX standard. There is a POSIX compliance documentation available in the documentation in RTEMS documentation website. So how to build RTEMS? First, RTEMS footprint is very small if you compare with the Linux kernel, for example. And so it's about 1 million lines in RTEMS 5 and 4, 1.4 in the current version. As a reminder, it's 18 million lines in the Linux kernel 5.4. There is organization. You should see it in the picture, in the previous picture about the architecture. Everything architecture dependent is in BSP. CPU kit, it's for portable libraries such as POSIX implementation or classic library. RTEMS is based on, there is a Makefile build system based on WAF, but when you develop an application, you use a simple Makefile actually, and a test suite for the validation test. And there are lots of targets supported, including QEMU, for example, but there are targets based on the very high-priced CPU, such as Leon, but there are BSP for the Raspberry Pi or the BeagleBone Black or some very famous boards. So first of all, you need to build a toolchain. It was a bit tricky a long time ago because there was no tools to build a toolchain. So most of the time, the people use a binary toolchain provided by the RTEMS community. It's a GCC toolchain, and it's used NewLib for the libc, and the NewLib was designed by Red Hat. It's a very simple libc designed for embedded system. And the toolchain does not depend on the board, but it depends on the CPU, ARM, x86, etc. And there is a tool which is quite simple to use, which is called RTEMS Source Builder. So with the RTEMS Source Builder, you can build everything, the compiler and the SDK, the RTEMS application. But most of the time, I do prefer to build the compiler and then to build the RTEMS in another steps, during another steps. So you clone the source builder, and you start the SBSet builder with a prefix for installing the binaries. And you give the name of the architecture, the version here, and the name of the architecture here. So RTEMS C86 is for QEMU actually. Okay. For the recent version, it's GCC 10. So it gives a compiler called targeted with RTEMS 6. The second step is to build RTEMS. So as before version 6, it was based on the GNU Auto Tools, but it was a bit tricky because of a script called Bootstrap to generate all the configure scripts. It was quite long. And well, it was they switched to the RTEMS community, switched to the WAF build system for the version 6. I will do a demonstration on the version 6 at the end of the conference, so you will see what is WAF. Actually, I didn't know WAF before RTEMS, but it seems to be fine. And you can enable or disable options at the configuration time. For example, you can disable C++ support, network, or enable POSIX, etc. So you clone the RTEMS sources, and for the 5 version, for example, you clone the RTEMS. You can get a tar archive if you want. You start the Bootstrap. You create a build directory. And then you use configure to say, I use the target, this target. I don't want C++. And I use this BSP, which is a PC 386 is for QEMU x86. And the prefix to install the BSP. If you want to build all the examples, you need to add enable tests. With the 6th version, you have to define options in the config.ini file, and you use WAF, which is provided in the sources. So you just type WAF configure, WAF to build the source, and WAF install to install. You don't need any options to the command line. You put it in the config file. So you can keep the config file for various architecture, and it's quite fine to use. Okay. It's okay for the video? The video stops and goes on with me. I will remove my I will remove my my video. Oh. You see the slide. Okay, so the video is not important, but the slide is the most important part. Okay. Okay, so I will continue. So as I said, the config.ini replaces the configure options. For example, with the QEMU, you say rtemps POSIX API égale true, or rtemps or build test égale true, which is the same as minus enable test. And so if you activate building the test suite, there are lots of examples in the build directory. They are not installed in the BSP because it's not useful, but you can test them in the build directory. There is a tool you can test the example directly, so you can get the binary and install on the board. Or if you use the QEMU, you can start the QEMU on the executable. But there is a tool which is called rtemps test, provided for some BSP, lots of BSP. And you start you change to the build directory and you start rtemps test minus thrice if you want. You select the BSP and then you select the example, and there is a report about the result of the test. Or you can try to execute the executable with the QEMU if you want, if you don't want the test result. Okay. So now if you build a system, you want to develop applications. So as I say, the rtemps provide C, C++, ADA, etc. API. So we will try on C applications. And in applications is at least a main function which is called init for the classic API and POSIX init for the POSIX API. And there is a static configuration. It's not like Linux. You can't allocate resources dynamically because it should be certified for for military application or space application, for example. You should define the number of threads, the number of timers, the number of driver you want to load, etc. There is nothing. It has nothing to do with Linux. And there is a Makefile, which is based on the macros defined by the SDK. So again, the application is linked with the rtemps kernel, though there is only one executable. And this executable, you can extract the interesting part depending on your architecture. As I say, there is lots of example in test suite, but there is a Git in the rtemps GitHub, or maybe in the rtemps Git at all. You have rtemps examples, which provides some examples in basic API or POSIX APIs, etc. There are some presentations from OAR or Embedded Brain on rtemps. Or some rtemps user, but it has nothing to do with the Linux world regarding the community. So it's quite difficult to get full information on full presentation on rtemps. But in some months ago, there is a big interesting book which was published by the rtemps developers, and it's a bit expensive, but it's very interesting. So there is everything about rtemps in the book. A small example with a classic API. You see the includes, the init function with a printf, and the configuration here. So you have to say you use a simple console driver, but there are two kinds of console drivers, and so the simple console driver is useful only to get the printf on the console. There is no timer, so you don't need a clock driver. You start only one task, the main task, and you init the task table, and the configure init variable, defining the configure init variable, modifies the default configuration of rtemps, which is defined in the confdef.h. Same with POSIX. It's quite the same with the POSIX init function. It's some symbols are the same, but for POSIX you talk about POSIX thread. So you have one POSIX thread, and you init the POSIX thread table and configure init to load the configuration. So that's very specific to rtemps to define the resources as static configuration. So you should declare in the static configuration, you should declare the number of tasks, the number of timers, the needed drivers, the console, the clock, the custom drivers, if needed. We will see at the end of the conference how to add the custom drivers. The default values are defined in confdef.h. And the configure init constant, it updates the default configuration in the header files, for example, console.h, clock.h, etc. I can show you in the code later. If you want to building the executable, it's quite simple. You just have to define a makefile. You have lots of examples of makefile in the test suite. So you define the executable. You say I want to load all the managers, for example, but you can load some managers and not load some other managers. You define the list of source names, source files, and for example, you can add update add some task in the makefile target. For example, if you add clean additions, you remove Emacs back files, and if you use uboot, I use uboot for Raspberry Pi, so I remove the uboot image, but it's configurable by the user. You include SDK files, and you should define the rtemps makefile path to be able to use these files. And you define the build targets. Okay, so it's quite standard. You have nothing to do except changing the name of the source code, source files, and the name of the executable. When you compile the application, you generate the binary files in the optimized directory with the executable, the objects, and the map of the symbols. And you can have additional files depending on the target. For example, the Ralph image is a binary, pure binary image from for the Raspberry Pi, for example. And most of the time you can use the opcopy to extract the binary and, for example, to generate a uboot image. But for QEMU, you just have to start QEMU. It's not QEMU, it's system. Right. Okay. There is a mistake in the slide. Because before, a long time ago, it's called QEMU, but now it's QEMU system i386. Okay. We will try this later. You can debug, of course. rtemps debug is in kernel space because it works in kernel space. It's not like Linux. You use remote debug, but remote debug just like a Linux driver. And it's a standard approach for remote debug. You have a cross debugger provided by the toolchain and a debug agent, for example, GTAG with OpenOCD or QEMU. And you define the port for the remote debugger, and that's all. And there is a different approach which is specific to RTEMS with a debug agent called the lead debugger. But I will show you how to use the standard approach with QEMU and remote debug. The RTEMS driver, RTEMS include lots of device driver for standard interfaces. The first one is a console, which is useful to see what happened in your application. I2C, SPI, GPIO, PWM, depending on the target, of course. If you use QEMU for x86, you don't have you have only the console. You don't have I2C or SPI, of course. But you can add a Unix-like driver to an application. It's Unix-like, so you have a standard entry points such as open, read, write, close, etc. And the control, which is it's a control, but it's like IOCTL. And the device node, you open a device node, such as /dev/hello world. And the RTEMS drivers, they are based on IO Manager, which is a library called libIO. You provide a list of entry points in the application, define hello driver table entry with a list of functions. In this example, I have only open, close, and control, IOCTL, and the specific function, which is hello initialize. And the initialize function is loads the driver at the beginning of the application when you call the application. It's just like it close to the mod probe in Linux, but it's not dynamic at all. But it's just like the mod probe. And again, you should define if you use driver, you have file descriptors in your application. So you should define the list of drivers with extra driver, etc. You define the symbol configure application extra driver to hello driver table entry, this table, and you should define the maximum number of file descriptor you will use in the application. Of course, if you say I will use 5 file descriptor and I will use only 3 file descriptor, it's okay. But if there is a misconfiguration in the static definition of the application, sometimes the error is not very clear. So it's a bit tricky to debug because you don't have a real error. Of course, for example, if you say I have 3 threads instead of 4, you will not see the last thread, but there is no error. The last thread will not be started. And some words about the BSP. It's located in the BSP's directory. The first level is the CPU type, ARM, etc. And the second level is the board type. And in each directory, you have the implementation of the basic controllers, the clock, the console, the GPIOs, if any, the I2C and the SPI, and of course the starting code. But there is there is some difficulty to RTEMS because lots of recent boards based on ARM or RISC-V, they use the device tree for our hardware definition. And lots of operating systems, Linux, but other operating systems such as Zephyr, which is an OS from the Linux Foundation, they can use the device tree. So, of course, you know how to use the device tree on Linux. You have a DTB file on the bootloader. We will see it on the demonstration, but it's a bit difficult with RTEMS because you have only one executable. So on Zephyr, for example, you have a procedure to generate a header file from the device tree. And so the configuration of the device tree is embedded in the executable. It was done for some BSP in RTEMS, for example, for the BeagleBone Black and the P, because it was the only way to support the several versions of the P. It was done by a student at the Google Summer of Code and using the libfdt library. So on if you have U-boot, it's okay because you put the device tree on U-boot and AirTems can load the device tree and configure the board. But if you don't have a bootloader such as U-boot, it's a bit difficult. You have to do some tricky work. So it's time for the demonstration. The first demonstration is building the AirTems SDK for QEMU. Testing a basic application, debugging it, testing a very simple device driver, and at the last demonstration is a real demonstration on the Raspberry Pi with controlling GPIO on Raspberry Pi with RMS scheduling. Okay, so I will change the presentation because I need to show you some terminals. So I will change the presentation. I will switch to my switch to my screen. Share screen. Okay. So here. So you should have here. I will try to build a BSP for x86. So I will go to AirTems Git. Okay. I hope you see the screen. I can show you the entire screen. So it's a current version of AirTems, so it's a master. It's AirTems 6. So you can, for example, you have the WAF. You have the WAF binary and the config.ini. And the config.ini is built for RISC-V, for example. So I change I change it. It should not be the RISC-V. Sorry, I will change to something else. So you should never change before a conference. You should never change anything. Okay. So I will change to this one. Okay. AirTems NP is not available for QEMU, and AirTems Multis, for example. So you should just say WAF. You say WAF configure, and minus prefix equal home Pierre bureau, which is a desktop in French, and AirTems target QEMU. Okay. Okay. So you type WAF. So you compile everything. I added the test suite. So you have lots of files to compile, but it's quite small, so it's okay with my computer. And the computer was designed to compile Android, so there is no problem. Okay, you see the test suite compiling the test suite. Okay, and then WAF install. Okay, so in the directory you have the AirTems BSP. It's a target QEMU. Okay. Okay. So you can, in the build directory, in RT6 PC, you have the test suite. I think you have the test suite. And for example, you can start an example, QEMU system, the right QEMU command, -kernel, test suite, PSX test for POSIX. And for example, you will see all the test suite here. PSX -0.exe, for example. Okay. Okay. So it's a periodic display. Okay. And as I said before, you can use rtemps test. I will copy and copy paste. Hop. The command. rtemps test minus trace, etc., etc. It spawns the same command, but in text mode, and you will get a report at the end. So the test has passed. Okay. So now the second example is to test a basic application using the BSP and debug. So I will be back to. So if I go back to rtemps, I have already some script file to set the environment. So you set the environment for using the compiler, and then you set the environment to the SDK. It's the same thing, actually. It's the SDK I have compiled some days ago, but exactly the same. So you just have to source and you go to the examples and POSIX, for example, Hello World, and you have the Hello World application. Okay. So I did some funny stuff with this application to show you it's real POSIX. So if I compile with GCC, I can execute the application because it's POSIX. But if I compile with make clean, make, I will compile with for the rtemps. Okay. So in the optimize, you have the hello world.exe. So you start QEMU system -kernel optimize hello world.exe. Okay. Okay. So if you want to debug, you need two screens. For example, debugging is not fine with this example because it's too simple. So I have another example called timer, and the timer is much a bit more complicated. As you say, no, it's timer.c. You know, it's a. I will show you the code. It's a POSIX timer, and there are three threads created additionally. But I will debug. Actually, I want to debug. For example, if I want to debug this function to stop each time the timer is okay. So I will compile the application. I will be back to. So here make clean. Make. Okay, I can do the same with QEMU. And you will see more. Okay. So you got the signal every second, and you see the CID, but there are three threads running in background. So you have one application, but three threads plus the main thread. So if I want to debug, I have to add a new terminal to have access to the debugger. So the debugger is IE36 RTEMS 6 GDB. Okay. So I go to POSIX examples, POSIX. Timer, optimize, and I say GDB optimize timer.exe. Okay, I load the code, and now I start the application, but with -s from the QEMU to start the kernel debugging application. Okay, so it stopped, just like GTEG stops the CPU. And for example, you can set a breakpoint to God signal. Okay, and you see the code. You should see the code. You don't see the code. Okay. Target remote to connect to the it's 1, 2, 3, 4 for QEMU, and you continue. Okay. So each time you have a God signal, you can. Okay. And for example, you can see the backtrace of the program. Okay. Q to kit. You can disable the breakpoint, and then you continue the execution. Okay. No. Why? Oh. Là, il y a eu un petit problème. Okay. There was a problem with my screen. You can see me? Okay. Well, I will consider it's okay. So, okay, that's enough for the debug. And the last demonstration, maybe the most interesting, is an example on running a real board. So I have a real board connected here. On the left, you have a terminal with U-boot. It's a Raspberry Pi. Okay. We close this one. I will find the Pitra P3, and there is an application called RTEM Square. I can show you the code. So I create a task. It's a classic API. And the function associated to the task is a task rate monotonic period. And you initialize the GPIO to have a nice demonstration. You create a monotonic event. And each time you go to the each period you change the GPIO state to 1 or 0. Or you can display the statistics, but it's a bit tricky. Okay. So you block until the RMS is okay, and you'll be back to the GPU control. So you can clean, and the difference is here. I will generate RTEM's image for U-boot. So I have to copy the RTEMS to my server because of internal problems. Okay. Actually, my PC here is on the Wi-Fi, and the TFTP doesn't work with Wi-Fi currently. Okay, so I have a Raspberry Pi here. So I have a macro which is called RTEMS TFTP. And with RTEMS TFTP, I load the RTEMS application in the memory. I load the device tree, very important. But the device tree is on SD card, and I boot the application. So I just type run RTEMS TFTP. Okay, I download, and so I start the application, and I will start my scope to show you the result. So it's a timer with 1 millisecond period. Okay, 1 millisecond. Okay. And for just a precision regarding the building the applications, you know, in the for the BeagleBone Black or the Raspberry Pi. So I will take a look at the Raspberry Pi BSP in the make custom. In Raspberry Pi.inc, I just add, you can add macros to generate, automatically generate the U-boot image, because it's a bit tricky to do by hand every time. So I have a function BSB postlink, which extracts the binary from the executable file with opscopy, and then use mkimage to create the rtems.img. It's nice to do that because otherwise, you have to do everything by hand, and it's a bit difficult. It's a bit long. Of course, you can put the executable on the SD card, and with the second macro, I can use the SD card. Okay, that's all. That's all. Your camera. I stopped the camera, I think. The camera is not very important. Okay, so here is a small bibliography with most of time it's RTEMS documentation, which is nice, and the last the book which was published by the RTEMS authors, mainly Joel Sherrill from OAR. Which is with the main developers of RTEMS, and you can buy it online. It's more than 100 euros, but it's a very interesting book. So if you have some minutes, maybe we have some minutes with for question on the chat. We have 2 minutes, but I think yes, if you have a question.